"No one can survive Jupiter," the alien said. The human girl just laughed. "I was born on a death world." Before we dive into this story, drop a quick hi in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. It really helps the channel grow. Olivia Hay stood at the viewport of the Galactic Alliance's diplomatic vessel, gazing into the swirling chaos of Jupiter. The gas giant filled the view like a living storm, its colossal red eye turning lazily across the horizon, capable of swallowing Earth 3 times over. Most delegates kept their distance from the reinforced glass, but Olivia pressed her hand against it, feeling the faint tremor of turbulence through the hull. She wasn't afraid. The Galactic Alliance had already written the Jupiter mission off as impossible. No species, not even the most advanced, could survive its crushing gravity, corrosive gases, or the sheer violence of its winds. But humanity needed this alliance, and Olivia knew exactly why she had been chosen. Earth's future depended on her. "You realize this is insanity, right?" came a voice beside her. Olivia turned to find Director Xerox, a tall, slender centurion whose pale blue skin shimmered beneath his exoskeletal suit. 4 nervous eyes blinked in sequence, a telltale sign of anxiety for his kind. His suit hissed softly, compensating for what he considered unbearable gravity. Standard Earth gravity. "I've survived worse," Olivia said with a half-smile. "Impossible," Xerox replied sharply, his translator modulator giving his chirps and whistles a metallic edge. "The pressure alone would crush our most durable drones. The winds would tear apart any vessel, the radiation, the heat fluctuations. Your kind would die before you reached the lower layers." He gestured wildly with his upper limbs. "No one can survive Jupiter, human. Not even your notoriously stubborn species." Olivia laughed, a full, fearless sound that startled the nearby delegates unused to such casual defiance. "I was born on a death world, Director Xerox. Jupiter is just another Tuesday for me." The centurion's skin darkened, their version of paling. "This isn't your usual human exaggeration," he said uneasily. "And I'm not exaggerating," Olivia answered, turning back to the roiling planet below. The storms reflected in her eyes like living fire. "Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world for a reason." Xerox backed away, visibly unsettled by her calm, and as the hum of the ship filled the silence, Olivia thought about how far humanity had come and why she stood here now. 5 years ago, Earth had made first contact with the Galactic Alliance, a coalition of 17 advanced species that had quietly observed humanity for centuries. To them, Earth was a paradox. A world so hostile that life shouldn't have evolved there at all. Gravity too strong, weather too violent, tectonics too unstable, predators too numerous. And yet, somehow, humanity had thrived. They had clawed their way from the mud to the stars, inventing technology that defied the very conditions that tried to kill them. The Alliance had cautiously offered provisional membership, small trade, limited contact. But full membership with all its protections and privileges came at a price, proving humanity's worth in what they called contribution trials. When the Jovian energy crisis erupted, crippling half the Alliance's systems, Earth saw its chance. The storms of Jupiter generated a unique form of electromagnetic energy, powerful enough to solve the crisis forever. Every attempt by the other species to harvest it had ended in disaster. So Earth made a proposal the Alliance found absurd. Send a human, not a drone, not an AI, a living person, someone who could think, adapt, and survive where machines could not. And that's how Olivia Hayes, born in the Australian outback to a family of extreme environment engineers, found herself standing before the gas giant, humanity's representative in an impossible mission. "The preparation phase is complete," announced Captain Zeeler, the reptilian commander of the vessel. His polished scales gleamed beneath the ship's artificial light. "Final checks on the descent vehicle will conclude in 3 standard hours. I remind everyone this mission is officially classified as an expected failure. We will maintain safe observation distance." The conference chamber stirred with uneasy whispers. Representatives from 12 worlds sat in silence, some humanoid, others so alien they required environmental suits to breathe the same air. The human insists on proceeding, Zeeler continued, his vertical pupils narrowing on Olivia. Per Alliance protocol, her consent and Earth's authorization are recorded. The mission data will be transmitted to headquarters, regardless of outcome. Olivia stepped forward. Her black and blue survival suit shimmered faintly, sleek, elegant, nothing like the bulky armors of the others. "Thank you, Captain," she said calmly. Her voice didn't waver. This was it. Jupiter, the world no one could survive, and a single human about to prove them all wrong. "I'd like to speak before I leave." The room went silent. Dozens of alien eyes, some luminous, some shifting colors like liquid metal, turned toward the single human standing at the center. Olivia Hayes, humanity's representative, the only creature in the chamber whose lungs could breathe poison and call it air. "Representatives of the Galactic Alliance," she began, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade, steady but burning with conviction. "I understand your skepticism. By your science, what I'm about to attempt should be impossible. But you misunderstand what humanity truly is. We evolved on a planet that should have killed us before we ever became sentient." Gasps and murmurs rippled across the delegates. Olivia's gaze swept the room, the way a soldier sizes up a battlefield. "Earth's gravity would crush most of you," she continued. "Our storms lift buildings, our oceans swallow cities, and our lightning could power your ships. Our crust splits apart and creates mountains just to remind us that nothing is stable. Temperatures swing from frozen death to burning hell, and we've walked through both, sometimes naked, sometimes laughing." For a moment, only the low hum of the ship's systems filled the air. Olivia saw the disbelief, the unease, but beneath it, a flicker of something new. Respect. "The most dangerous predators on our world aren't even visible," she said, lowering her tone. "Viruses, bacteria, microscopic assassins that forced our immune systems to become war machines. Our sun bathes us in radiation that would sterilize half your worlds. And still, we endure. Still, we build cities. Still, we reach for the stars." She let the silence stretch, then smiled. Not warmly, but like a predator remembering the hunt. "So yes, Jupiter is hostile. Its winds would tear your ships apart. Its pressure would crush your bones to dust. Its atmosphere would turn your blood to acid. But I was born on a death world. My ancestors survived ice ages with nothing but fire and skin. They crossed oceans in wooden coffins, climbed mountains with their bare hands, not because they had to, but because they needed to see what was on the other side." Her hand rose to the emblem on her chest, a small symbol of Earth, a human figure standing tall at its center. "This mission isn't about doing the impossible. It's about showing you what humans really are. We don't just survive, we adapt, we evolve, we thrive in the places that should kill us. And if the Alliance wants to see what we can truly offer, watch what I'm about to do. That will be your first real lesson." When she turned to Captain Zeer, the reptilian officer's golden eyes blinked slowly. "I'm ready for final briefing, sir." He gave a short nod. "Very well. Science Director Xerox will escort you to the launch bay for final preparations." As they walked down the corridor, the rhythmic clicking of Xerox's exoskeleton echoed off the metallic walls. "That was quite the speech," he said finally, voice translated into perfect English. "Though I notice you never explained how you plan to survive conditions that defy biology itself." Olivia's lips curved into a half-smile. "Would you tell potential rivals all your evolutionary advantages?" "Rivals?" Xerox's four eyes blinked in an anxious cascade. "The Alliance is not a competition, Miss Hayes. It is cooperation." "Then why," she shot back, "am I being sent on what you call a suicide mission, just to prove my species is worth existing beside you?" He had no answer. They entered the prep chamber, a sleek space humming with energy. Teams of McClary engineers moved with fluid precision, their 6 limbs adjusting instruments on a small dark craft. It looked almost alive, its surface swallowing light rather than reflecting it. Your vessel has been modified to your government's specifications, Xerox explained. Some of the technology, however, is unfamiliar to us. That's because some of it is uniquely human, Olivia replied. Built for places where failure means extinction. A McClary technician approached, offering a small metallic cylinder. Recording device calibrated for Jupiter's conditions. It will transmit until destruction. Olivia accepted it, attaching it to her suit. Thank you, but I plan to bring my own recordings back. The technician's mandibles clicked nervously, their species' version of laughter. Miss Hayes, Xerox said quietly, there's still time to reconsider. The Alliance would not fault humanity for choosing another trial. Perhaps one less fatal. Olivia smiled, this time genuinely. You still don't get it. This is what we do. We go where we shouldn't. We survive what we shouldn't. And then we come back to tell the story. Before Xerox could respond, the heavy doors opened. Captain Zier stepped in with the diplomatic overseer, Thea, a luminous being of the Olivian race, her translucent skin glowing like moonlight. Final launch sequence is commencing, Zier announced. All non-essential personnel clear the chamber. As the engineers dispersed, Thea approached Olivia, placing her soft four-fingered hand on the human's arm. Her voice was calm, musical. I sense your determination, but also something different. Something I have not felt from any other being who faces death. Olivia raised a brow. What's that? Anticipation, Thea said softly. Almost enjoyment. Why? Olivia chuckled lightly. On Earth, we have people called adrenaline junkies. They seek danger because it makes them feel alive. But for us, it's more than that. We challenge the impossible because that's how we evolve. We climbed mountains, dove into abyssal trenches, left our planet. Not just because we had to, but because we wanted to know if we could. Thea tilted her head, eyes shimmering with empathy. Fascinating. Most species evolve to avoid danger, not to seek it. That's the difference between living on a safe world and surviving a death world, Olivia replied. When danger is everywhere, fear becomes useless. You either face it, or you vanish. Captain Zier's voice cut through the moment. Your craft is ready. Launch window opens in 20 minutes. Olivia nodded once. Thank you, Captain. Then she turned to Thea. If I don't make it back, tell the Alliance humanity appreciated the chance to prove ourselves. And if you do return? Thea asked. Olivia grinned. Then tell them to prepare for a lot more impossible things from us. Climbing into her vessel, she felt the hum of power through the frame. Familiar, alive. The interior was cramped, every inch purposeful. No neural links, no fancy bio-interfaces, just switches, levers, and human stubbornness made metal. Sometimes analog outlives digital, she thought. Especially when everything's trying to kill you. The bay doors opened, revealing the infinite black, and beyond it Jupiter, colossal and seething. Its red storm spun like the eye of a god. Human vessel cleared for departure, came the flight controller's voice. May your gods watch over you. Olivia smiled faintly. Thanks, but where I'm going? She gripped the controls. Even gods tread carefully. The thrusters fired, and humanity's most dangerous gamble dropped toward the storm. Her descent path was calculated with surgical precision, not to fight Jupiter's pull, but to dance with it. Centuries of human spaceflight had taught one truth. Sometimes the smartest way to conquer gravity was to surrender to it. Let it pull you into its embrace and use that momentum to slingshot forward. As the craft plunged toward the swirling storms below, Olivia's mind flickered back to the training that had shaped her into this moment. Born in the blistering heart of the Australian outback, she'd grown up where heat could melt steel, and the horizon shimmered like a living mirage. Her parents were pioneers in extreme environment engineering, people who built machines to survive where no human should. They had raised her not to fear danger, but to understand it, dissect it, and bend it to her will. At 8, she could survive alone for days in the desert, navigating by the stars. At 12, She'd stood in the eye of a Category 5 cyclone while her father recorded atmospheric readings. At 14, she'd watched lightning split the ground open just meters from her feet, and laughed. While other children learned safety, Olivia learned adaptation. So when Earth's space agencies began recruiting candidates for the Jupiter mission, her name rose to the top before the ink was dry. Training was a crucible. Pressure chambers that mimicked crushing depths of alien oceans, tolerance drills inside toxic gas domes, radiation endurance exercises so intense that dosimeters burned out, gravity simulations that turned bones to lead. But Olivia didn't break. She evolved. Her physiology began adapting faster than even the scientists predicted. "Human vessel, you are approaching Jupiter's upper atmosphere." The calm, mechanical voice from the Alliance controller crackled through her comms, pulling her from her memories. "Telemetry confirmed. Mission now classified as non-recoverable. Your sacrifice for science will be remembered." Olivia rolled her eyes. "This isn't a sacrifice. It's a field test. Maintain open comms and prep to track my exit trajectory in 47 hours. A pause, then a hesitant reply. "Acknowledged, though current models predict survival beyond 20 minutes improbable." "Then I guess your models are about to learn something new," she muttered, gripping the controls as the first thin fingers of Jupiter's atmosphere began to lick at her hull. The craft shuddered violently. Temperature gauges flared. Outside, friction turned the air to fire, yet her ship held. The hull's living metal, born from technology adapted from Earth's abyssal submersibles, restructured at the molecular level, flexing to distribute heat and pressure evenly. The ride grew savage. Winds of 400 kilometers per hour slammed against the vessel, throwing it like a pebble into a hurricane. Alarms screamed in crimson light. "External pressure rising, 2 bars and climbing," Olivia reported calmly. "Hull integrity 98%, initiating Phase 1 energy collection." From the sides of the craft, delicate filament arrays extended, shimmering threads thinner than hair, glowing faint blue as they touched Jupiter's electric storms. Designed by Earth engineers, they captured the planet's raw electromagnetic fury, channeling it into energy cells deep within the ship. Instantly, readings spiked off the charts. More power in 10 minutes than any Alliance probe had ever gathered before disintegration. But Olivia was only beginning. "Descending to mid-atmospheric level," she said. The viewports darkened automatically as the light outside faded into a rolling, golden-brown haze. Visibility 0. The world outside had become a living sea of chaos. Amber clouds twisting like serpents, lightning silently illuminating the abyss. Pressure climbed relentlessly. 10 bars, then 12, then 14. The hull groaned. Olivia activated the next stage of her survival suit. The nanofibers along her limbs hardened, generating an internal counterpressure, while microtanks released a dense, breathable mixture optimized for high-stress environments. "External pressure 10 bars, she reported, voice slightly strained. "Hull at 92, entering ammonia water cloud layer." That was it. The point no Alliance probe had ever survived past. The point labeled terminal zone in every simulation. Yet here she was, alive, human, pressing deeper into the heart of a gas giant. Then chaos struck. The craft jerked sideways, violently pulled into a rising column of gas, an updraft so powerful it could have lifted cities. Warning icons flared red. The ship spun, tumbling end over end. "Unexpected turbulence? Stabilizers engaged," Olivia barked, fingers flying over controls. The gyros whined, struggling to regain orientation. Slowly, painfully, the spin began to slow. Her breathing remained steady, though her pulse spiked. She'd trained for chaos. Humans thrived in chaos. "Warning, hull breach detected, Sector 7, the ship's AI announced in a flat, synthetic tone. "Rerouting power to auto-repair systems," Olivia responded instantly. Outside, the hull's adaptive skin came alive, reshaping like muscle, sealing the breach as specialized nanocomposites filled the microscopic tears. "Breach contained," she said, exhaling, "integrity stabilizing at 87. The violence ceased as suddenly as it began. The sensors showed a calm pocket, a brief, stable layer between two storm systems. "I appear to have reached a stable region between atmospheric cells," Olivia reported. "Pressure 15 bars, temperature -150 Celsius. Perfect." She deployed the secondary collection array, thicker, more resilient filaments designed to handle extreme charge densities. Lightning danced through the clouds outside, each strike feeding directly into the ship's capacitors. Energy readings skyrocketed. "Phase 1 complete. Storage cells at 60%, she reported. "Initiating Phase 2. For hours, she worked, monitoring data streams, balancing power loads, adjusting altitude by meters to stay within the energy sweet spot. The data flowing back to the Alliance would rewrite everything they thought they knew about gas giants. But peace on Jupiter never lasted. Her sensors detected massive pressure changes. A storm front the size of continents closing in fast. "Massive turbulence incoming," she transmitted. "Beginning ascent protocols." Now came the hardest part, leaving. Descending was gravity's gift. Climbing out was defiance itself. Engines ignited with a roar that shook her bones. The craft strained upward, cutting through the clouds like a bullet through water. "Pressure decreasing. 12 bars and falling," she said between clenched teeth. "Hull integrity 79. Energy storage at 89%. Every meter upward was a fight. Warning sirens wailed, systems flickered. Jupiter refused to let go. "Alliance vessel, this is Hayes," she called into static. "Encountering severe turbulence during ascent. Adjusting trajectory." No reply. The electromagnetic chaos had swallowed her voice. She was alone again, humanity's oldest condition. The storm hit. Winds screamed at 600 kilometers per hour, tearing at the hull. The ship spun uncontrollably, alarms flashing across every surface. "Multiple system failures," the AI droned. "Mayday! Mayday!" Olivia transmitted, though she doubted anyone could hear. A new hull breach tore open. The self-repair system tried to respond, but Jupiter's fury was overwhelming. For the first time, fear cut through the adrenaline. Real, primal fear. The kind that had kept humanity alive through a million years of evolution. But instead of drowning in it, Olivia used it. She channeled it. "Emergency procedures. Manual override," she shouted. Explosive bolts detonated, jettisoning damaged hull plates. Auxiliary thrusters flared to life, power rerouted. Gradually the spin slowed. The ship steadied. Not perfect, not whole, but alive. "Systems stabilizing," she breathed. "Hull integrity 72. Flight path restored." The storm raged around her, but Olivia Hayes, human Deathworlder, survivor, what was still climbing. The words echoed in Olivia's helmet as her trembling fingers worked the failing controls. The ship groaned under Jupiter's monstrous pressure. Twice already the vessel had nearly been torn apart. Twice she'd brought it back from the edge through sheer instinct and stubbornness. Inside her survival suit, the temperature climbed uncomfortably high. Her life support was failing, the oxygen mix thinning. But the nanofibers of her suit compensated automatically, tightening, sealing, feeding her a barely sustainable stream of breathable air. "Come on, girl," she whispered to herself, eyes fixed on the pulsing readouts. One more storm. One more climb. After what felt like days, but was only 6 endless hours, the sensors flickered green. The clouds outside lightened, the dense amber giving way to faint bands of white. The pressure readings began to drop. She was close. "Alliance vessel, this is Hayes," she transmitted, voice raspy and broken. "Approaching exit point. Craft severely damaged but functional. Request recovery assistance once I clear Jupiter's magnetosphere." For a long moment there was only static. Then, crackling through interference, a voice answered. "Hayes, signal received. Tracking your position. Stand by for recovery." Relief hit her like a wave, threatening to undo the steel composure she'd fought to maintain. But there was no time to relax. The final burn out of Jupiter's gravity well would test her ship to the brink. "Initiating final burn," she said softly. "All remaining power to propulsion." The engines ignited with a tortured scream. The vessel shook violently, alarms blaring as one system after another reported catastrophic stress. The hull temperature soared, molten hot, as friction ripped against its battered surface. And then, silence. The shaking stopped. The pressure indicators dropped to zero. Olivia exhaled a trembling laugh. Against every prediction, she had done it. She had survived Jupiter. Through the cracked viewport, stars glittered like distant candles. Beyond them, a silver shape emerged, the Alliance recovery vessel. "Alliance vessel, this is Hayes," she said, her voice fading from exhaustion. "Mission successful, energy collection complete. Request immediate recovery." "Hayes, this is Captain Zeeler," the reply came, the reptilian officer's tone carrying something new: respect. "Recovery team dispatched. Stand by for tractor beam lock." The damaged craft trembled gently as the beam caught hold. As she was drawn toward safety, Olivia allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Humanity, against all odds, had once again rewritten the definition of impossible. When the hatch was finally cut open, the recovery crew found her still conscious, clutching the glowing data cores to her chest. Her suit was scorched, cracked, but intact. She looked up at the stunned faces of the crew and grinned. "Science Director's Xerox," she said, holding out the cores. "You might want to update your models." The insectoid scientist stared at her, all four eyes wide. "By every law of physics, you should be dead 100 times over." Olivia's grin widened. "Humans have been breaking the laws of physics since we learned to walk upright." Hours later, she sat in the Alliance vessel's medical bay. The sterile air buzzed with scanners and alien murmurs. Dr. Mira, the Thrillaxian physician, studied the readings with fascination. "Your biology is extraordinary," Mira said. "Skeletal density higher than any known species, muscle fibers layered for dual stress adaptation, well, and your cells, remarkably regenerative." Olivia shrugged. "Pretty standard human design." The doctor's appendages twitched in disbelief. "Not standard at all. Your species evolved redundancy for nearly every vital function: dual organs, regenerative tissues, backup circulation systems. It's elegant in its brutality." "Earth wasn't kind," Olivia said softly. "Predators, heat, radiation, storms. Evolution taught us to expect to die and prepare to live anyway." The doctor nodded slowly, still studying her scans. "Your stress hormones alone would kill most sentients." "Fight or flight," Olivia replied with a faint smile. "When you grow up in a world that tries to kill you daily, fear becomes a performance enhancer." Before the conversation could continue, the door opened. Captain Zeeler entered, flanked by the Alliance's diplomatic overseer and, shockingly, the full council delegation. "Ms. Hayes," the captain began formally, "your data has been analyzed. The results are unprecedented. You've provided more scientific value in one mission than we've achieved in a century of observation." "I'm glad it was worth the trip," Olivia said. The captain hesitated. "Worth it? That word fails. You've done what our most advanced species deemed impossible." The luminous representative, Thalara, stepped forward, her translucent skin glowing with intensity. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session. "Your energy collection alone warrants full Alliance membership for Earth, but combined with your performance and human resilience," she paused, glancing at the others, who nodded. "The Alliance has voted unanimously to grant Earth immediate full membership, with special designation as a sovereign adaptive species, a title reserved for civilizations whose evolution embodies survival against the impossible." For a rare moment, Olivia was speechless. Back on Earth, the best projection had been provisional membership, maybe in decades. This was beyond belief. She smiled, tired but proud. Tell the council they made the right call. After all, she leaned back with a faint, knowing smirk. Impossible is kind of our thing. "That's generous," Olivia said carefully, her tone measured. "But I'm just one human. I appreciate the recognition, but I don't think a single mission justifies such status for my entire species." She turned back to the viewport, watching the endless stars drift by. Somewhere out there were worlds no one had ever set foot on, planets the Alliance had long abandoned as impossible. You know, Olivia said, almost to herself, we have an old saying on Earth, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Most species evolve by avoiding danger. Humans evolved by surviving it and learning from it. Thalara tilted her head, still unable to hide her unease. A dangerous philosophy, Olivia laughed. A sharp, warm sound that made the aliens around her flinch. Danger's relative. For a species born on a world of storms, quakes, and predators, what you call danger, we call Tuesday. She checked the time, adjusting her uniform. And now the galaxy is our next test, a new set of Deathworlds waiting to meet us. When the Resilience launched, the event was broadcast across hundreds of systems. In human colonies and on Earth itself, something profound began to stir, a unity the species hadn't felt in millennia. Old borders, old rivalries, old divisions, they began to fade. Because for the first time, humanity understood its place in the cosmos, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as survivors, the ones who thrived where others perished, the Deathworlders who laughed in the face of impossible odds. And across distant worlds, other young species looked to the stars, whispering in wonder about the newcomers, the humans from the Nightmare Planet who had tamed the storms of Jupiter and claimed their seat among the stars. Inside the Resilience, engines roared to life. The hull glowed like sunrise as it cut through the void. "Helm," Olivia said, voice steady. "Take us out." The stars stretched into streaks of light as the ship surged forward. Behind them lay Earth, the death world that had forged them. Ahead lay the universe, waiting to test their limits. And as Olivia watched the stars blur into infinity, she smiled, because she already knew the answer. Impossible. Just hadn't met humans yet. Science Director Xerox stepped forward, his earlier skepticism replaced by something almost like awe. "You misunderstand, Miss Hayes. It's not only what you accomplished. It's what it reveals about your kind. Our analysis of your biological data, combined with Earth's historical records, indicates that humans possess adaptive traits beyond anything in the known galaxy." A Valyrian delegate, her crystalline exoskeleton refracting the light, added softly, "What one human demonstrates, others of your species can replicate. Worlds that are death sentences for us are simply your home." Captain Zeeler nodded. "The Alliance faces countless worlds too extreme to colonize. Atmospheres we can't breathe. Gravities that crush our vessels. Yet for humanity, those are merely challenges." Olivia listened in silence, realization dawning. This wasn't just about her survival anymore. Earth wasn't merely joining the Alliance. It was reshaping it. Humanity's resilience wasn't just an advantage, it was a revolution. Finally, she straightened, exhaustion forgotten. "In that case," she said, voice calm but proud, "on behalf of Earth, I accept the Alliance's offer with gratitude, and I look forward to showing you what humans can truly do when we decide to try." 3 months later, Olivia stood before another viewport, staring into the swirling blue of hyperspace. But this time, the ship beneath her boots wasn't alien. It was human. The Earth ship Resilience, the first of its kind, and humanity's gift to the Alliance fleet. Unlike the sleek, sterile vessels of the other species, the Resilience was a living machine. Its corridors could shift and reshape for any environment. Its systems built to endure radiation, pressure, and heat that no Alliance engineer dared test. Behind her, a mixed crew of 20 humans and 5 alien specialists worked in quiet coordination. Each had been selected for one reason: their ability to operate in environments most species couldn't even survive. "Captain Hayes," came the voice of her first officer, Commander Nathan Brooks, as he approached with a datapad. "Final pre-launch diagnostics complete. Alliance High Command just transmitted mission parameters." Olivia scanned the display and smiled faintly. A system deemed too volatile to explore, rich with resources the Alliance had written off as inaccessible. In other words, exactly the kind of mission humans were made for. "Thank you, Commander," she said. "Inform the crew. Launch in 30 minutes." As Nathan left, Thalara, the luminous diplomat from the Alliance, stepped forward, her soft glow reflecting off the viewport glass. Your people, she said thoughtfully, seem almost eager to face environments that terrify every other species. Even after all we've learned about humanity, it's still difficult to understand. Olivia smiled. I told you before, Jupiter. We don't just adapt to survive danger, we seek it. It's how we evolve. It's who we are. Thalara's glow pulsed gently. The other Alliance worlds watch your integration with fascination, some with admiration, others with fear. Your kind has achieved in 3 months what most species don't in decades. That's because for you, Olivia replied, the galaxy is safer than home. For us, the galaxy is easier. Compared to Earth, even the worst death worlds are familiar.